Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 13, 2018 Town Board meeting. In case of an emergency, I would ask that you exit through the rear doors. Make a left or a right down the staircase to the front lawn or to the rear parking lot. We're going to stand for 30 seconds of silent prayer, and then I would ask Jeffrey Sheever to lead us in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you take the roll? Present.
Councilman Hart.
Present.
Councilman Ham.
Present.
This meeting will be dedicated in memory of Dennis Weiss, Carlo Pito, Jack Corbett. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from July 30th, 2018.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from July 30th, 2018's executive session.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I'm going to make a motion to move communications out of order to one item, which is item number, I put it over to the side, item number 8.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. This is at the request, if there's anyone from the public that has a question on the appointment of William Pilo, you can come up and ask any questions, because now before our communications, we allow the public to make any comments on any agenda items. There being none, I'm going to move forward with a very important promotion for our hardworking gentleman in our police department. This is on behalf of Chief Dens. Kindly move to terminate William Pilo from rank of police officer and appoint William Pilo to the rank of police lieutenant effective Tuesday, August 14, 2018, at an annual salary of $99,369.43, authorizing the supervisor to complete and sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Congratulations, William, if you'd like to come up.
Congratulations on your promotion. Here are your lieutenant's badges. Welcome aboard. Okay. Congratulations.
Now there'll be cake. Congratulations. Enjoy your evening with your family. Congratulations, family. I know you're so very proud. Have a great evening. I know those babies want cake for sure. So we're going to let you make the exit and have a beautiful night.
Thank you.
Billy, we'll see you in the morning.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to stay now into the legal notices. Item number 1 is proof of publication and posting of a legal notice of a public hearing to consider a request for a special permit for railroad property along the Route 400 near Line Road, being part of Lot 254, 259, 266, 271, 283, and 284, changing its classification from M1 to M1S special use for a 10 by 36, one 10 by 36 billboard in the town of West Seneca.
Second.
So I'd like to make a motion to open up the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. The petitioner is here. Good evening, Ralph. How are we tonight?
I'm good. Ralph LaRivo here on behalf of Premier Media. This is an application, as you said, to erect a 10 by 36 billboard on railroad property along Route 400 near Line Road, changing its classification from M1 to M1S. So in this situation, we meet all of the qualifications of Section 12-40.13.1 of our West Seneca Code that has to deal with billboards. We meet the distance requirement. We are more than 1,250 feet from the nearest billboard. We are actually 1,620 feet from the nearest billboard. We actually are smaller than the maximum area allowed by our code. This is a 10 by 36 foot billboard. We're well beyond the 300-foot requirement of any R district, public or private school, or bridge crossing. We provided a survey, site plan, a superimposed rendering, and the billboard specifications. We have the approval from Norfolk Southern Railroad to go forward with this application. We presented in front of the planning board, and we have a unanimous recommendation from the planning board to recommend to this board to grant the special permit use. We have today a letter from the New York State Department of Transportation with regard to this use, indicating that the site appears to be conducive to the approval of this office for an off-premise advertising sign. But the way it works is we need to get approvals from the municipality, the zoning approvals first, and then we have to make the application. That's why the planning board made its recommendation, in the end contingent upon getting that final approval. But I have this letter from the New York State Department of Transportation. There was a question about, where the exact location of the sign is, and we have a site plan in the survey which shows that the location of this sign, the base will be 424.24 feet west of Line Road at right angles and roughly 70 feet north of the bounds of the Aurora Expressway. It's described in the site plan. Here are the dimensions, the 424.24 feet. Here is the dimensions. So here's the Aurora Expressway. It's way past the middle of that. The post is here. It meets all the requirements. The post has to be 30 feet from railroad tracks, which we are. We have to be 10 feet off the Aurora Expressway right of way, which we are. So this distance here is roughly 70 feet. And so it's 70 feet. That would target and give you the exact location of where the base of this billboard is going to be. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have in regard to this application. As you know, a billboard like this requires no services from the town, but certainly is assessed, and is assessed as much as many of our residences in the town. So it pays roughly the same kind of taxes as a good percentage of our residents while taking no services, so it's a benefit to our tax base. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Board members, do you have any comments or questions?
Ralph, I had one question, but I think you just answered it with that rendering. But at the planning board meeting, there was one question about which drawings we were going to use for the placement of the sign. The photo one, you can't,
Yeah,
you remember.
that's just a superimposed photo. Those don't really give you where it's going to be. The site plan and the survey, the description I just gave you is exactly where it's going to be. That's to give you a look the planning board likes to see, a proposed look. We're superimposing a billboard onto a picture.
Okay.
And so that's why that's what that
That
is.
was the only question I had for you. I'm sorry. The only question I had is, are we going to be back at 400 some feet off of Line Road, which we are.
424 feet.
Thank you.
Ralph, will this be the only billboard plan for that site?
Pardon me?
Is this the only billboard
Yes.
plan for that site?
Yes. Yeah, they have to be more than 1,250 feet apart at this, you know, according to our code. This is 1,620 feet from its nearest billboard, so there can't be anything in between.
There was a billboard approved at a prior meeting, though. Is that,
That was on Bullis, it has nothing to do with this location, it's not part of this.
is it more than 500 feet? It's more than 500 feet apart, right?
It's more than 1,250 feet, yes.
Well, okay, thank you. I knew there was another billboard approved.
Okay, I would just ask, is there anyone from the public that has any comments? You can come up to the microphone.
I know a while ago there was a moratorium on billboards in the town of West Seneca. Has that been abolished? Has that been replaced? Or can anybody now put these billboards up?
That,
It's the moratorium I'm talking about that West Seneca had for billboards.
yeah, that, if I recall, can you guys hear, is this working?
I cannot.
Okay, sorry. Since 2015, since my time here, there hasn't been a moratorium on billboards. And if I recall correctly, the moratorium on billboards took place in the mid-2000s. And at that time, the moratorium was rescinded because the code was amended to meet the specific requirements of the law so the town could approve or deny.
Well, is that kind of recently? Because when I was on the board, there was a moratorium and people didn't want it because it started making it look like a Las Vegas Strip. Now, I don't know if these same people are going to come up and say anything about it now, but that's what happened back then. So if the moratorium was lifted, then I guess it's okay for billboards to go to town of Cider, right? It is? Okay.
Is there anyone further? All right. Since there are no additional questions or concerns, if you have anything else to offer,
I do not.
okay, I'm just going to make a motion then to close the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Whereas the town board of the town of West Seneca as the lead agency acting in pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act of Article 8 New York State Environmental Conservation Law has reviewed Part 1 of the short environmental assessment form prepared by the applicant in connection with the proposed special permit for property located along Route 400, meeting all the description, bound legal description, changing classification from M1 to M1S. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to
Catching
keep
up to you.
reading. Review the draft completed by Part 2 EAF analyzing potential for the project as a result of any significant adverse environmental impact and has otherwise taken a hard look to identify potential environmental impact utilizing the criteria specified in 6 and New York State CRR 617.7C. And whereas upon review of Parts 1 and 2 of the EAF documentation and plans submitted by the applicant in connection with the review of the project, the town board has not identified any potential significant adverse environmental impacts associated with the proposed use of the subject property. Has determined that the preparation of the environmental impact statement is not necessary and the issuance of a negative declaration is therefore appropriate. And whereas at the meeting of July the 12th, the planning board adopted a resolution recommending the grant of a special permit to approve the project. And whereas pursuant to the town code, the town board further finds that granting a special permit for the subject property to allow the project is consistent with applicable special use criteria contained in the town code, appropriate for that location, will not adversely affect the surrounding properties. Therefore, let it be resolved that pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.7A, the town board does hereby adopt a negative declaration with respect to the project based on the determination that the project will not result in any potentially significant adverse environmental impact. Further be resolved that the town board hereby grants a special permit for this project.
Second.
Project being billboard on North Fork Southern property applicant, Premier Media. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Moving on to second item, legal items. Pursuant approves the publication or posting of a legal notice of a public hearing to consider a request for a special permit for property located at 3400 Transit Road being part of lot number 343, changing its classification from C2 to C2S for automated car wash with vacuum stations in the town of West Seneca. I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. The petitioner is here, if you would just state your name.
Good evening, Corey Auerbach from the law firm of Barclay Damon on behalf of the petitioner, the Daniele family companies.
If you want to just give us a description of your project.
Sure. Thank you very much. This is a proposed tunnel-style car wash at the corner of Transit and Clinton to replace the current restaurant use. We're seeking your approval this evening to authorize the use to change classification from C2 to C2S to authorize the car wash. We did appear before the planning board on July 12th and received a unanimous recommendation of approval. This is a little bit different than a normal car wash. This is a high-intensity, high-pressure tunnel-style car wash, which uses significantly less water than a standard car wash. They use recycled water as part of the car wash apparatus, and we, as part of the development, will be consolidating several existing curb cuts. Of course, we will go back before the planning board for site plan approval, but as part of the project, we will be increasing green space at the site, we will be consolidating curb cuts, and we believe that the use meets all of the required standards in the West Seneca Town Code for a special use permit. We appreciate the assistance we've received today from the building department, and we'll continue to coordinate with them as we provide them with fully engineered plans for the design. But at this stage, we're here seeking your approval to authorize the use, and this will be the 7th Royal Car Wash, the second one in Erie County. There are 5 existing Royal Car Washes in the Monroe County area, with 2 more that are presently under construction. The first one that was constructed was in the town of Lancaster, also on Transit Road. It's a very attractive building, colonial style look, brick building with a residential sort of facade. We think it would fit very nicely in this section of Transit Road, and we're excited to bring this development to the town of West Seneca.
Will this facility include the sale of gasoline or any other type of sales?
It will not.
No, is it the planning board? This is you were saying it's a membership style car wash. Can you go in normally and just do a one-time wash?
Absolutely, yeah.
Or you buy a monthly card and you
Both.
use that card?
You can do both.
And what about staffing? How about employees?
They're anticipating approximately 40 jobs associated with this development. This is a little bit different than some of the other local car washes in that it's much quicker. It's about 2.5 minutes from the time someone pulls onto the site until they're through the tunnel. It also doesn't employ human application of drying or anything like that afterwards. So you come in, there's an ATM style kiosk, and you can either use a credit card or, as you noted, a membership pass, and you go through, the gate lifts open, you go through the tunnel, and then you exit the site.
Okay, I have a question about access to the site.
Yes.
Now, if you're going north on Transit Road, there's a red light, and then you'd almost have to make an immediate left turn to get into your facility. How is that situation going to be addressed?
So we are going to locate the access as far north on the property to increase the distance from the traffic light.
Do you know the distance that would be?
I do not have that dimension, but looking at the survey, I can tell you, I can approximate that it is.
I know this will be a planning board issue.
Absolutely. It's, I'd say more than 200 feet. The lot dimension along Transit Road is 265 feet, so it will be somewhere to the north of the property, away from the intersection.
If you could refresh my memory, is there a turning lane there?
Southbound.
Southbound. there isn't a turn lane to the center, similar to Union Road.
The DOT may have to, it's available, just a matter of working.
The proposal, the site design right now will accept approximately 30 vehicles in the stacking lane, and even in the most intense use on the most beautiful summer day, it's rare to have anywhere close to that number, so the reason I bring that up is the stacking will all occur internal to the site, so there will be no conflicts with Transit Road as far as, issues.
Right. You know, if you had to flow out into the southbound lane, that would, this is a heavily traffic, probably 36 to 40,000 cars a day, at least, maybe more in transit.
Yeah,
So
and that's,
I'm a little concerned about what the traffic impact may be.
yeah,
And
and what's it?
I'm willing to let this go to the planning board and let them
Great.
address those issues.
I believe the DOT has plans for transit and Seneca Creek Transit and Clinton. I believe that's under review right now for improvements in that area.
Yeah.
And as far as traffic generation, it's been our experience that this car wash use doesn't increase traffic. It's really a pass-by business where people aren't leaving their home with the intent of specifically driving to the car wash. It's more of a convenience where when they're passing by, they then utilize the car wash service. And these Royal Car Washes are located on very highly trafficked roads like one in Lancaster and as well as in Monroe County.
When you exit the car wash, are you gonna go straight to Clinton Street and have to turn left or right there, or are you going to be going out onto the transit road?
There will be an opportunity for ingress and egress on Clinton. I think it depends on where the customer is headed when they're leaving the car wash as to which path they will take. Preliminary design have ingress from transit and then ingress and egress both on Clinton.
And of course, that egress is very close to the corner, so I see where that could cause problems.
And technically, the proposal includes two parcels, and the egress on Clinton, similar to the way that we've maximized the distance from the intersection off transit, is all the way to the south in the southernmost portion of the site on Clinton to minimize traffic impacts.
One more question from you. What about the hours of operation?
Standard hours of operation, I don't have them specifically. It's certainly something that we'll discuss and be prepared to discuss more thoroughly at the site plan approval, but they're general standard business hours.
Is there anyone from the public that has any questions or comments regarding this project? Come up to the microphone.
Mark McCarthy, 5024 Clinton, right behind the proposed car wash. I'd like to know what the present and proposed elevation and drainage is going to be on that property. Because I'm lower than they are, and it'll be detrimental to my property.
Right, and that would be addressed, but Jeffrey?
Sure. Those criteria aren't identified yet, sir. As part of the planning board submittal, they're required to provide full engineered plans. Those subsequently get reviewed by the town engineer, and subsequently have to seek his approval as well. That's the technical answer. The practical answer is, at no point will any part of their water cross their property line onto yours. As a matter of fact, they're also responsible to take all of the water that currently drains onto their property. So all of those things get engineered out later through the process.
Right now, the parking lot for the restaurant is pitched toward my property, which is shouldn't have been. So all the water and snow we push onto my property, and I'd like to eliminate that. Plus, the elevation behind the restaurant is, I'd say, at least 4 foot from Shaver property. I would like to know if that's going to be filled in, and I'm going to be sunk even lower. Because Chevron's property is level with my property. Chevron's property is a house they took.
No, I know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
And,
an absolute concern.
Their property was level with ours. Now, if they're gonna fill in anything there, it's a drop of 3 foot. and then let it, tapers off the cliff.
Mr.
I have
McCarthy,
concerns about that also.
all of these items that you just raised will be brought to the attention of the planning board.
Will I see it?
And we will be able to provide you with those answers and how they resolve that
Prior to the planning board or after the
You
planning?
would be-
during the planning board. We would encourage you to come during the process.
So I'll get
And keep in
another letter?
mind, this gentleman who came up, Corey, he has an opportunity to talk to you too, to get all of your questions and concerns and address them before he comes to the planning board. They'll be prepared to answer those issues.
Okay.
Correct, Corey?
The planning board will actually have a public hearing where you can address that issue. during
The
the
last
planning board
hearing, I couldn't say anything about drainage until now, I thought.
It's perfect.
Now I can't say nothing now.
process.
No, you've said it.
It will be engineered and
Oh, sorry. All right.
Yeah.
the planning board will work to protect your interests.
So the next meeting will be with the planning
Yes,
Mhm.
prior to their acceptance?
yes.
Thank you very
It will
much.
probably take a few meetings to get everything. I'm guessing based on the complications on hearing, it'll take a few meetings to get this approved.
This
If
is just
approved,
start.
if approved at all.
Plus, I'm not sure, but I have a 99-year lease going through on the side of Santora's, that house they bought also. So I don't know where that, they're gonna take over that lease.
A lease or easement.
Well, it was what do they call it, 99-year easement?
Okay, no, it's
It
good
was
to
a
know.
driveway
Sure, okay.
that the owner gave to my father.
Very nice, very nice. But we'll make sure, and those who aren't familiar with the location, it's the
Right.
Lucky's Restaurant on the corner of Clinton and Transit
All
Road.
right, thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you.
we'll make sure all of his questions are addressed prior to. If that could happen, Corey, that would be appreciative. Maybe you could get his phone number and give him a call and have a conversation before. Is there anyone further from the public that has any comments or questions? Okay. There being none, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Regarding Project Royal Car Wash at 3400 Transit Road, whereas the town board and the town of West Seneca as the lead agency acting pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, Article Number 8, New York State Environmental Conservation Law has reviewed Part 1 of the shortest environmental assessment form prepared by the applicant in connection with the proposed special permit for property located at 3400 Transit Road. As a changing its classification from C2 to C2S for an automated car wash with vacuum stations. Review in the draft completed Part 2 of the EAF, analyzing the potential for the project to result in any significant adverse environmental impact and otherwise taking a hard look to identify any potential environmental impacts, utilizing the criteria specified in 6 NYCRR 617.7C. And whereas upon review of parts 1 and 2 EAF and documentation plan submitted by the applicant in connection with the review of the project, the town board has identified any potential significant adverse environmental impacts associated with the proposed use of the subject property. Has determined that the preparation of the environmental impact statement is not necessary, and that the issuance of a negative declaration is therefore appropriate. Whereas at a meeting on July the 12th, the planning board adopted a resolution recommending and granting the special permit and approval for the project. And whereas pursuant to the town code, the town board further finds that granting the special permit for special subject property to allow the project is consistent with the applicant's special use criteria contained in the town code, appropriate for the location, and will not adversely affect the surrounding properties. Therefore, let it be resolved that pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.7A, the town board does hereby adopt a negative declaration with respect to the project based on the determination that the project will not result in any potential significant adverse environmental impacts. Let it further be resolved that the town board hereby grants a special permit for this said project at Royal Car Wash at 34 Transit Road.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Corey, you're good to go. Good luck. Thank you. Before we go on to our communications, Is there anyone from the public that has a comment they'd like to make on any of the communications?
Susan Kim's 99 Hilton. My first item is item number 2. We have a part-time clerk that's being hired. I'm wondering at what rate of pay, and is she a resident of town?
She is a resident, it's $12 an hour.
The second item would be the appointment of Amanda Murphy as assessment clerk. I'm wondering what the wages there are, and she is a resident of the town.
She is, her rate of pay is on here. Go to hers. And she was off the civil service list. And she's replacing Gail Vogel, who left a year, 6 or 7 months ago.
I had not noticed a rate of pay for her.
It'd be Group 1, Step 1.
Thanks.
Group 1, Step 1, I don't know which group the assessment clerk's in, but I do recall we created the position and set a group title for it. I don't recall it off the top of my head.
It's
though.
group 3, step 1.
Would we know an hourly wage for that?
I can grab my book. Anything else?
Just if she is a resident of the town.
No, actually, she just moved back to town, and she's going to be, they have 6 months to get in. She's off the Erie County Civil Service list, so that's how we do that.
So she moved back from out of state, not just from a different city. She moved from out of state back here.
She came back to West Side?
She did.
Great.
Well, she's not quite here yet. She has 6 months to actually acquire a residence in West Center.
But she has a place as of September, so she's good to go.
That I didn't know.
I just found that out today from Candy.
But would we be able to know at some point what we were paying her per hour so we have an idea?
I can go grab the book.
I have it in front of me,
Oh, you
Supervisor.
do? Okay.
For for 2018, for an employee hired after January 31, 2011, in a Group 3, Step 1, starting salary is $34,847.79.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
And I like your haircut. Anyone further? We're gonna move on. We're gonna move up to tabled items regarding the appointment of John Menier at the request of the town attorney. This position will be for the ethics board at a effective August the 14th at a rate of $4,000 a year.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. On to communications. From John Fentz, our town attorney, kindly adopt a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute the attached amendment lease agreement with Verizon Wireless for wireless communication infrastructure space at East and West Road Water Tank Tower, together with the access with the utility easements. The agreement amends the prior lease agreement with a 5-year extension at an annual rent of $18,000, and therefore 4 option terms to extend additional 5-year terms at an annual increase of 112% of the rate of the annual rent at the end of immediately preceding its term.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 2 is from John Benz, our town attorney. Kindly move to appoint Jolie Messenger as part-time clerk typist and floating pool of part-time clerk typist effective Monday, August the 13th, at a pay rate of $12 per hour, and further authorize the supervisor to complete and sign the necessary forms with the Erie County Commissioner.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Also from John Fentz, our town attorney, kindly adopt a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute the attached facilities use memorandum of understanding for the West Seneca Community and Library for the West Seneca Public Library.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Item 4 is from Matthew English, our highway superintendent. Please terminate Raymond Jordan as seasonal part-time laborer in highway department effective July 31st, 2018. Have the supervisor sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 5 is from Daniel Dens, our Chief of Police. Kindly approve the second annual payment of $5,754.24 to Axon Enterprises, formerly Taser International, per the signed 5-year equipment agreement between the town of Axon. Just a reminder, the project savings for the duration of this agreement will total $5,841.48.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 6 is also from Daniel Dens. Kindly change the part-time safety dispatcher of Kayla Weir to part-time seasonal from August 1st, 2018 through August 30th, 2018, authorizing the supervisor to sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 7 is also from Chief Dens. Please authorize Detective Lieutenant Kevin Baranowski, Detective James Gibbons, and Detective Daniel Crowe to attend the Canadian American Law Enforcement Organization training from September 6th through the 7th, 2018 at Niagara Falls, Ontario. There's no cost to this training.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 9 is from the Town Assessor, Candace Whitman. Kindly move to appoint Amanda Murphy as a full-time assessment clerk to Group 3, Step 1, effective August 14th, and further authorize the supervisor to complete and sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 10 is from Mary Josephat. Kindly change the status of Leanne Panuski, part-time food service worker for the West Seneca Senior Center, to part-time seasonal effective August 1st, 2018 through September 28th, and authorize the supervisor to sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 11 is from Lauren Massett, Recreation Supervisor. Please allow the supervisor to execute the necessary documents to enter into an agreement with the West Seneca Central School District located at 675 Potters Road, West Seneca, New York, for the use of Sunshine Park and West Seneca Soccer Complex. This agreement falls under our shared services with the West Seneca School District. The use of Sunshine Park is for cross-country events, and the use of the West Seneca Soccer Complex is for junior varsity and varsity soccer. This agreement is contingent upon the West Seneca School District submitting the COI as outlined in Section 12 of our agreements.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 12 is also from Lauren Massett, our Recreation Supervisor. Please review the below facility use fees and new rates, and note that these rates are effective for any use after January 1st, 2019, except for ice rink fees, which are effective August 14th, 2018. These fees were last revised in 2015.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 13 is also from Lauren Massett, our Recreation Supervisor. Please allow the supervisor to execute the necessary documents to enter into an agreement with the Boy Scouts of America Greater Niagara Frontier Council 318, located at Buffalo, New York, for West Seneca Diamonds. This is contingent upon the revised certificate of insurance being submitted, which meets the requirements in Section 12 of this agreement.
Second.
Anything on the question?
On the question, this is a one-time use.
Correct, it's a one-time use on a Saturday, or I believe a Saturday morning. They made bottle rockets and they want to launch them off. They've done it for the past few years.
It's not bottle rockets, it's a little more than bottle rockets.
Yeah, just like regular, it's some STEM program they do.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I'd like to accept the reports from Jacqueline Felser, our town clerk, for July of 2018.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I'd like to accept the reports from Jeffrey Sheever, our code enforcement officer, and building and plumbing report for July of 2018.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the warrant.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, anyone from the public that has a comment, feel free to come on up and make your comment. This was great, Lauren. Very nice.
Oh,
On the meeting that you guys had on July 16th, I'd like to have the town make a correction on certain things that were said that aren't true. that I don't want going in the record thinking that they were true. And what I'm talking about is, I'll read it to you from the minutes of January 14, 2013. Motion by Supervisor Regan, seconded by Councilman Hart, to appoint Scott Windover as full-time public safety dispatcher effective February 3rd, 2013. On that, it also says Scott Windover has been an excellent part-time fire dispatcher, and the town is fortunate to have him. Okay, having said that, Mr. Hanley, I don't know why you had a hit list in your wallet, like you said, okay? But you mentioned Scott Windover as one of my appointments. That's a lie. I just read to you who hired him, who seconded it, and Mr. Rosinski's on the board at the same time. Could you tell me the other people that were on that hit list that you read off?
Do you want me to read all 10 names?
I would love to have you read them off.
I'd love to.
And could I have a copy of it?
You cannot.
Okay, in the minutes here, could you give me a copy of it in the minutes? But it'll be in the minutes anyways, but I'd like to have that stricken from the minutes on the July 16th, because it's not true. I just read it, and I just, showed you that it wasn't true, it was a lie.
Last names: Windover, Sedlak, Baker, Mager, Polino, Everly, Parker, Steinwendel, Marino, and Schweck. Schweck.
Okay, now I just proved to you that Windover was not my appointment, so I can take that off the list. Now, what is the reasoning that you would have that in your wallet? That's what I'd like to know. Why would you have employees in your wallet unless you were holding some kind of vendetta against them or something like that? And before you answer that, Supervisor, Councilman, you don't have a hit list like that in your pocket, do you? Thank you. Do you, Sheila? No? Well, then you're the only elected official up there that has a hit list in your pocket. Could you explain to me why?
Sure, inquiring minds like to know.
Pardon me?
I know 2 people on that list. You know all 10 of them. I only know 2 of them.
What's that got to do with you basically breaking your own political?
No, don't change it.
No, that's how it got started, Mr. Hanley. Mr. Hanley got started because I questioned you about creating a job that was a political job that the town right now can't afford. And you brought up other people in the past that were hired. It had nothing to do with what I was talking about.
That's correct, but this isn't a game about who talks louder, wins, who gets the microphone. You ask a question, I answer it.
No, it has to do with truth, honest Bill, truth. And that's something that you lack, big time. Big time. You lack the truth, big time.
You asked me for the names, I gave you the 10.
Okay, and I'd like to know why you have their names in your wallet.
Because I wanted to know who you hired when you were on the board.
And what are you gonna use against them people?
I'm not gonna use that, I don't even know who they are.
You don't know who they are.
I know 2 of them. I know 2 people on that list.
You don't know anybody on that list. But yet you're the supervisor of this town, and you're their employee, and you don't know them people?
I don't know.
Honest Bill, you gotta start telling the public the truth here sooner or later. I mean, you gotta cut another line.
I don't know all the employees of this.
Well, honest Bill, I personally think, and there's the town attorney, that is just one reason why I think that should be considered a harassment against the employees of this town, for an elected official to be carrying people's names around there, only because they know me and they were associated with me. That is not creating a safe workplace or an environment that is stress-free. That there is basically you're breaking your own rules by creating a bad workforce for these people. And I really think...
What rule would that be?
The rule being is, you don't think that's harassment?
I don't, you said I have a rule. What rule is that rule?
The rule is harassment on these people. Why are you carrying their names?
Is that my rule?
Huh?
Is that my rule?
You don't think that's harassment?
You said it was my
I'm
rule.
asking the town attorney if that could be considered a harassment.
It's all public record.
I could give you about 10 different definitions of harassment,
Would
and
that be one of them?
not knowing all of the facts,
Well,
everything.
the fact is what you just heard. He's carrying
Can I
people's
please
names
answer
in
the
his pocket that
question?
I hired a couple of years ago. Because I brought up about him
Yeah.
breaking his own ethics.
Let him answer, I'd like to hear his answer.
Okay.
With the facts that I have in front of me, under our town code, having a list of employees wouldn't fit into anything that I can think of as far as harassment. Although, I filled in the role of harassment officer maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and my investigations at the time thinking, applying those facts as I have them right now to it, no, I apologize.
That it's okay for people to carry a hit list for the employees in this town. Am I right? You see nothing wrong with that?
I'm not gonna answer your question.
You're just an attorney, aren't you?
I don't have to answer your question.
No,
You're
you
phrasing
don't have to
them,
be honest with me either.
you're phrasing them in a leading way that will only get you an answer that will do what you want it to do.
I already-
I'll answer a real question if you have one.
Okay, well, then you think I've got the right to have that taken out, what Mr. Hanley said as far as me hiring Scott Windover when I just read it to you who hired him?
I don't know who hired Scott Windover. That
Just
sounds
read it
like
to
that
you,
was a
sir.
promotion. I
Huh?
can't hear, I didn't hear it. I didn't listen
Let
to
me
it.
read it to you, let me read it to you again. Motion by Supervisor Megan, seconded by Councilman Hart, to appoint Scott Windover as a full-time public inspector dispatcher, effective February 3rd, 2013, at an annual salary of $35,000, and authorize the supervisor to complete and sign the necessary forms of Erie County personnel.
Mr. Clark,
Who would you say hired him?
my understanding is that was an appointment from a part-time position.
Full-time, right. He's mentioning full-time people on his hit list.
I don't, if it was about who was hired,
Right.
who hired that person,
Right.
I would have to see the initial hiring motion. I don't know what you want
Get
me
off
to
the bottom of
say.
the ocean, will you, friends? Come on. It doesn't take an Einstein to figure out that this man just mentioned somebody I appointed, and I didn't. I didn't appoint him, that's what, and you're trying to tell me you didn't understand what I just read to you?
I'm saying that didn't we have somebody appointed from part-time in the past? I'm not doing this. What I'm saying
Well,
to
you
you.
can't, you know why? Because you can't come up with a line.
No,
I mean,
I
that's how the
can't
system
answer
works,
that.
Mr. Fence. People get appointed from part-time to full-time, and that's what this position was.
You asked
But
me who
Mr.
hired
Haley's
them.
telling me that I did it.
Yes, you read it from the record. You can read. You're correct.
Yeah.
But I don't know who hired that person. They need to come in here first to be
You know what?
hired.
I can only say, I can't wait for the people to come here with that mentality, because, boy, when them taxes go up this year, they're gonna be doozies. And you don't understand that, but I want it taken out of the record, what you lied about it. That's not true, you know it. Ms. Minnie, you know it. Mr. Hart, you weren't here, so you had nothing to do with this one. But the man read off about a hit list that had nothing to do with what I asked as far as the question goes. And I think it's very poor on an elected official to carry people's names in his wallet, only so he can go back and pull it out as a weapon later on down the road when you don't agree with one of the things that he's doing.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Anyone further?
Good evening, Gary Dixon, 543 Union Road. In the voucher summary report, there's something that I thought was curious. There's two payments for grass cutting. What's that for? Because, I mean, we have a few buildings and grounds that does grass cutting.
No, is it at a location?
They're zombie.
It doesn't say, no.
They're at zombie homes in the town of West End. We have two contractors that cut the grass. First cut, I don't have the prices exact, but during the first cut, they charge more. The second cut and going on, they charge less.
Excuse me,
And it goes right on the tax.
did you say grass or brass?
Grass.
You read that? And then those,
Yeah.
Had me wondering.
No, and those bills go right to the tax.
Good, very good, thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks for stopping. Anyone further?
I got a question for you, Sheila, for Steve Tanner. I got one for Mr. Henry. I don't,
just identify yourself for the record.
first of all, Sheila, are you reading
Excuse
taxes
me,
again?
excuse me. Would you identify yourself for the record?
Oh, Richard Spoon at 29 Center Drive.
Thank you.
What was your question?
Are you going to increase the taxes again this year?
We're in the process, the budget process, but we talked about it at the beginning of the year. Already, what we were already hit with, that was unexpected, is huge workers' comp. And the chargebacks from Erie County, from Buffalo Sewer Authority.
Are you going to raise the taxes?
Sir, I just told you, we said it back in March, that the tax is already hit 2%
Okay.
because of the chargebacks and the workers' comp.
Okay. Let's go to the community center on Legion Drive. You have two large transformers out there in the landscape. One's brand new. One's been there probably since the old library got torn down. It was there before the old library, well, not was there. The brand new one isn't being used. And it's got two conduits going up over here on Legion Street. Did we pay for that transformer?
I don't think we're qualified at this moment.
Well, that's why I wanted Steve Tanner for.
You'll have to wait till Mr. Tanner's here with that question.
Okay.
It's my understanding it should be operational.
Well, that's okay. Mr. Tanner, if you want to leave me your name and number, I can have them call you.
Okay. Let's go back to the street lighting. A couple of years ago, you guys negotiated a contract for lights and eyes on street lights. And now, I guess what's happening is the town is engaged in replacing poles and wire.
No, we're not.
Well,
The poles still belong.
Mr. Hart,
The
I
poles,
personally
the
know,
poles, now wait, I'm just correcting you. The poles still belong to the power company. We only own the arch and the light, the mouth of the light.
okay, the why
And the photo
The
cell.
arm and the, what's it called?
Photo cell.
okay, and why on Tampa Drive, there's been 2 poles replaced and one on Charles Court in Seneca. The new masthead, wire and everything else was replaced by the town. 2 gentlemen from the town are fire alarm technicians, I won't mention their names, but they're doing work on NICEX high-voltage lines.
Mr. Zuda, I'm going to say that's not true. Our electricians are smart enough and they're qualified, but they don't have the paper that allows them to work on NICEAG equipment. So they don't work on the light. They will change the fuse, they will change the photo cell, they will change the bulb, but they don't mess with the wires. And they do not set telephone poles.
Okay, well, the contractor set the poles.
That's,
You hired the contractor.
And that would be the power company's contract.
we
not ours.
didn't hire anybody.
Okay, well, I heard differently, but I'll go along with that
Ni-
right now.
nice,
I wanted some proof. and-
NICEAG did change some poles in town, but they did that on their own. If you drive around town, you'll see they took core samples and all the telephone poles all over town, and they filled them with plastic plugs. Those cores tell them whether the condition of the poles and whether they should be replaced or not.
All right. I got a question for Mr. Dents. Sheila, you live behind the Selfie Plaza every morning at 4 o'clock. It sounds like World War III's back there. The dumpsters being smashed on the ground. Every morning I call the West Seneca Police. They do come over and they check it out, but it continues day after day. It never stops. This morning was really bad. Is there anything that the town, the police department can do to cease that, at least till after 6 o'clock in the morning? This has been an ongoing problem. There's a lot of older people there. There's a lot of people that just come home, they work, and this guy goes and just drops it. I mean, he just, boom. I mean, there's no reason for that. Not before light.
Is it modern? Who is it? Waste Management?
Yeah, I think so.
Right, okay, well,
But we called,
did you talk to the plaza owner?
I tried to get a hold of Mr. Captain Police, it's almost impossible. I'm gonna try again tomorrow, but I go there,
I
he's
will
not
too.
there. It's-
I will too. I didn't know. That's the first time hearing about that.
First time for me also, I'll research that for you.
John, I need a contract copy of the lights, please.
Absolutely. That, what I'll give to you, Dick, is, there's an energy performance agreement with Danforth, where Danforth agrees to do the work. Along with that is a street lighting purchase agreement with NICEAG. So the 2 agreements work hand in hand, and I'd be happy to sit down with you and go over each and how the whole process works and who we're holding accountable, things like that.
Okay, now the lights under the high lines on Ridge Road and on Seneca Street, who's gonna work on those?
That list was, we had Doug Bussey go out 2 nights in a row. He did a tabulation of all the streetlights that were out that he can find. Now, I'm not saying he caught every single
Well,
one.
these haven't changed yet.
That's correct. They're on a punch list, and that list has just been turned over to Danforth for corrective actions. I believe there was, you said more. I thought there were 40 lights on that list. You said you think
There's
there's more.
52 lights.
How many?
52 lights, I got all of them.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw the list, there were 40 lights on there. That have to be fixed. And that's not bad out of all the streetlights in town. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. 40 lights.
All right, I guess that's it for me now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone further?
Good evening, my name is Richard Biles, I live at 63 Diane Drive, and the gentleman who spoke before me pretty much asked the question that I was going to ask, is there going to be a tax increase? And it seems like time and time again, we hear about mandates through Erie County and everything else, but, I mean, my daughter went to school here, I've lived here for 20 years, she left. She has a young family, and she's sick and tired of it. She's in it for the long run, And you just made a statement that because of these mandates, it looks like there's gonna be another tax increase. We have to work smarter. Doing same things over and over again is the definition of insanity. And a lot of young people don't want to live in West Seneca. I mean, my daughter went through the educational process here and everything. We moved, we came back, we thought we'd stay here forever. My house is going on the market in the near future. If you say the taxes are gonna go up, my house is going up for sale.
I understand, but I will tell you, we said this in March when we received the chargebacks from the city of Buffalo. And the cost of that, 1.5% increase. I mean, there's not, we have to pay that bill.
Mr. Miles, our typical bill is $8,000 a year. We just got a charge back from them for $75,000. Those are dollars that they surprise us with, that when you go into budget, you know they're gonna ask for $8,000, you might put $9,000 on your budget just in case. You don't expect $75,000.
Well, I have one more question. I mean, this is addressed to the police department. I have a house on my street that is just absolutely disgusting. And I worry about the lives of the kids that are involved there. It's a foster child situation that they seem like they bring another child into this house every other month. The police have been over there over 120 times in 18 months to 2 years, and they said their hands are tied. Is there anything we can do about evicting these people, or do we have to put a camera on and catch them in action? I mean, a young lady sleeping on the roof at 2 o'clock in the morning when it's 10-degree wind chill factor, they don't cut their grass. The house is the biggest eyesore in West Seneca, if you ask me. It's deterring the property value of everybody else around there. And the police were just there the other day, and the young man is driving around my street with his hood up, no seatbelt on the cell phone. The police officer asked him to pull over, and he hangs his head out the window and says, "I'll be right with you when I complete my wide turn," and he circled around the whole cul-de-sac and went right back to his house. I don't know if they impounded the car, but the car was there the next morning. Is there anything we can physically do as a neighborhood? I'm trying to be a spokesman for the neighborhood, because everybody in the neighborhood is sick and tired of it. The police, when you call the police, I know your hands are tied to a certain degree, but I mean, everybody, do we do a petition? Do we call Child Protective Services? I'm worried about, the society that we live in today. Is it gonna take the death of one of these kids before anything is done?
Well, I can address that, Ed. I can address your concerns. All I can say to you is we have been working hand in hand with social services, child protection. You name an agency, we've been working with them with that family. Building code enforcement has been down there. There are only so many things that we can do legally to produce enforcement, get them in front of judges. We've had them in front of judges. And when we say our hands are tied, we are doing everything that we can legally do to try to correct the issue down there, okay? I understand what you want. You want us to go down there and rope them up and drag them off and get new neighbors. That ain't not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. We cannot do that. And all we can do is continually go down and enforce things to the legal limit that we are allowed to by law. And we are on that address. I know you're not happy with that. That's not the answer you want. But there is a legal process. Unfortunately, the majority of society doesn't play by the rules, and we have to. Or then we get sued as a town and as a police department. So, anything I can do to help you with that address, I'm well aware of what's going on down there. As you said, we've been down there.
Well, we don't even have to get an address when we call.
Exactly.
We know where you're talking about.
Exactly. So we are doing our jobs to the best of our ability, and so is the building enforcement. And how this person was able to get more foster kids and adopt is
That's beyond the wildest dream. I don't understand that.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I just had a meeting with people from the school district regarding that family just 2 days ago, and they're at their wits' end as well. So all I can tell you, I know it's no comfort, is that we are doing the best that we can do under the parameters of the law to try to correct that situation now, and we're going to stay on top of that. But we cannot remove them, we cannot evict them. they own their house. It's like us going down and evicting you because your neighbor don't like you.
Well, one of the problems that's happened, I mean, I've been in my house for 20 years, is you have to watch what you say to them, what you do. We've had cars keys, tires slashed, just recently, they rang my doorbell and beat the hell out of the door at 2:30 in the morning, and the kids behind me said, oh, we know who they are, but I physically didn't see them, you know? And everybody in the neighborhood, I mean, pinpoints
And
that,
those are some of the parameters of the law that,
you know.
unfortunately, we have to follow the rules. If you don't see them, I could probably guarantee you it was them. But I can't go down there and do anything about it as the chief of police because nobody witnessed it.
Well, it's like the dog warden. I called the dog warden, and the dog warden says, I don't know where these people get the money. It's $2.50 a crack to get the dog. They've paid 5 to 6 times to get the dog. I have a grandchild that just turned 1 year old, and a pit bull is running through the neighborhood.
And
I was scared shitless.
And I do know that the dog control is trying to get them in front of the judge to have a ruling to possibly address that issue. I'm not gonna disagree with you. These people are a nightmare. And I
So it's
certainly.
gotta be a nightmare from your standpoint of view, but as a neighborhood, you know, people said, do we make a petition? What can we do? We're like, you know, at the cross points, what do we do within the parameters of the law? I mean, I say hello to them. I mean, I got a dog, and I keep it on a leash, and I have a grandchild that just turned 1 year old. When I saw that dog, I freaked, you know? I mean, if I got bit, that's fine, but if that child got bit, that child is scarred for the rest of their life. And my daughter doesn't talk to me the rest of my life.
And I perfectly understand your concerns with that. And all I can do is tell you that if you have an issue down there, to call. We do respond every time you call, right? I mean, we don't.
It seems like a police convention.
There you go.
I mean, last time there were 6 in the EMTs.
Right.
The kid OD'd, you know? I mean, but I voiced my opinion. Thank you for listening.
I will try to help you rectify that the best of my ability.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Ann Olzolka. I live on West Cliff, right behind this property.
Could you say that again?
Ann Olzolka. Been a resident of West Seneca for 23 years, 13 years on West Cliff. Last spring, I noticed a very loud machinery noise emanating from the back of the ice rink. And I called Building and Grounds, and they didn't get a chance to get back to me, and I just let it go because I knew the hockey season was ending. So hockey season just started up again for this year, and there's the rattle, there's the sound. Now, there's 2 parts to the sound. It's a regular machinery factory type cycling on and off sound, and there's a rattle sound. So I talked to Jeff at Engineering today, and he kindly called Steve Grounds for me. Steve explained in 1 week that the ball bearings of the ammonia machinery will be fixed.
We actually had a discussion with Mr. Tanner this afternoon.
All right.
At our work session. Now it's been shut down, and it'll stay shut down until the equipment is replaced and repaired.
I appreciate that, and I did notice for the rest of the afternoon, it was quiet, and I really do appreciate that. But that would be the ball bearing noise. I'm wondering about also just the cycling on and off regular type noise, and if that doesn't go away when the 1 week ball bearing thing gets taken care of, what the town can do to put up a noise barrier or something to contain the machinery or something to contain the noise, because it emanates all across West Cliff, all the yards. It's a horror. It's like living next to a factory, and it hadn't been that way in the past. So I can wait the 1 week about the ball bearing project, which, you know, but then if it's not 1 week, what do I do next?
The actual shutdown of it and repair of it may minimize the noise.
But we can do
talk to
a
engineering.
sound, you can do that with that meter and see where levels it comes in at. And if it warrants some, because it might take care of that other situation.
Right.
So after the new equipment's in, Jeff, you can do a sound test over there.
And we also have a maintenance contract for that equipment, so we can probably have that after the new bearings go in, have them look at the equipment, see if there's something else they can do to it to fix that problem.
That'd be great. So what's my next, what am I waiting? Should I wait the 1 week to this day, or what do I?
It may take 1 or 2 weeks to get the repairs done, and then we'll see what it sounds like, and Jeff will do a sound test for you. And then we'll discuss it with the engineer. If it's still too loud, we'll find out what we can do.
We were told it's 2 weeks to get the parts, just to fix that ball bearing.
Is that going to delay hockey season? That's important to my family.
About a week.
Okay. All right, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll be in touch.
Anyone further?
I apologize for double dipping. It's Gary Dixon again, 543 Union Road. I'd just like to pick up on what this gentleman said about one definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. I mean, you talked about you got hit with an unexpected expense. I get that, that happens to everybody's budget. But a month ago, you more or less doubled that hit when you hired someone that was not required under any kind of contract. And you committed the town, as I said at the time, to 30 or 40 years of salary for this guy, retirement, health care, and he was probably, I don't know what his salary is, but if you add benefits and stuff, you know, it could easily be 60,000 a year or something like that. Mr. Hart wasn't here. So you had an opportunity to not to take a hit to the town, and you couldn't think of, maybe we'll save some money to the town and not hire this guy for now, or maybe we'll hire him later, or maybe we don't need a position that's not required under any union contract. That's all.
Anyone further? Hey, Jeff, do you have anything for us? Oh, yes.
Susan Kim's 99 Covington. I wanted to read something to you that we have posted on the website. It's the fire code section for New York State, and it's regarding the fire pits. And it says burning that is offensive or objectionable due to smoke or odor emission or where circumstances make fires hazardous shall be prohibited. That is the law in this town, correct? With fire pits? As you probably know, I live on a street where the lots are 50 foot across. So if my neighbor has a fire pit and it's in the wrong spot, I can't open my windows because my house fills with snow. But I happened to read in the West Seneca Bee about 2 different residents that had written in about fire pits. And I believe the one gentleman was here last year. The board advised him that he should contact someone from the code enforcement office, and that he should not have to have his windows closed because his neighbor had a fire pit. So I'm wondering, people that wrote in noted that they did call the town and they've been told that it's a neighbor problem.
Well, first of all, I know exactly what you're referring to on Be a Coward or Be Heard, whatever you want to call it, but we've addressed that with her on a Friday. Jeff was on holiday. I told her when he comes back, she was going through this every single day, and she shouldn't have to. Jeff, when he came back from holiday, he immediately responded to that, but at the same time, I went down to the code enforcement office after I spoke with that young woman and advised them of the same. They said that they had been hitting several issues on that street. It was Emerald. That they were very, people were concerned because this family was having a fire from the morning until night, every single solitary day. So Jeff has addressed that. He had them move the fire pit and told them, once a week, maybe, but as long as it's a covered fire pit too. So I think that situation was resolved. I don't know, but she called me on a Friday, and then that comment was in the next week because I don't normally look at the Be Heard, but it was brought to my attention by a gentleman in the code enforcement office that she felt that she wasn't satisfied with the response.
What I've noticed on occasion within my own neighborhood is fire pits are left to smolder all night long. As I've been told before, when someone has a complaint about a fire pit, code enforcement will send out a letter. They wait 30 days, they send another letter. By another 30 days, then it comes, I believe, maybe in front of one of the justices. But summer is over at that point. So it's an every summer occurrence. So what I'm wondering is, with our town code, do we go any further than what the state does?
We knock right on the doors, Mrs. Kemp, and we ask them to be a good neighbor. And there are people that will tell you right to your face, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it. And then the next day, we get a call from that next door neighbor that they've done it again. And it's unfortunate. I can only recommend put your sprinkler on. put an end to it all. And that's exactly what I suggested to that lady.
But then you do have a neighbor problem.
I know, but I'm sorry, this is getting out of hand, and I think this summer that we've had has been such a beautiful night to sit out and have a fire and enjoy each other's company. But it's the wood they're using too, they're just burning anything.
Yeah, and the fact that even when after midnight, you still can't open your windows if it's
Yeah, it's
smoking.
not fair. I agree with Mrs. Camps.
Might I make a recommendation that we maybe look at our own fire pits?
I think it's a great opportunity. I do. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much. Anyone further? Okay, Jeffrey, do you have anything for us?
No.
Very good. Lauren, do you have anything for us?
Just 3 quick things. The last day for the Veterans Park Aquatics Complex season is Monday, August 20th, 2018. For current aquatic schedule, please see our social media or the town's website. Any flexes in the schedule will be posted on our social media sites. The annual movie in the park will be held on Friday, August 31st. The event is sponsored by Galaxy Auto Place. The Secret Life of Pets will be shown and the movie begins at dusk. And then we are currently accepting applications for our fall programs. Open positions include staffing for the CCL gym and the ice rink. Ice rink guards must have the ability to ice skate. All positions are part-time and more information can be found on the town's website. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Lauren.
Just a question, on the 20th, the wading pool will also close?
Yes, the entire aquatics complex will shut down on the 20th.
Chief Dennis, do you have anything?
Just two things. I want to thank everybody for coming out for National Night Out last Tuesday. It was held at Dunn Tire. It was our largest venue that we ever had, largest attendance we've ever had. Special thanks to Dunn Tire, all our local fire departments, our fellow law enforcement partners for showing up, and the community groups and vendors, and made it a total success. And one other thing, kind of offset, we're always looking for monies, and Captain Ed Baker has just got a $14,000 grant that covers traffic safety conference to assist the police department in its endeavors.
Very nice. Nice. Thank you, Chief. John Fentz, our town attorney, do you have anything for us?
Nothing today,
Very good. Thank you so much. Jacqueline Felder, town clerk, do you have anything? Okay, Jean Hart, Councilman Hart, do you have anything for us?
I am still accepting people who are interested, or applications for people who are interested in being on the Board of Ethics for the town. We did have a resignation, retirement a couple of weeks ago, and I do have 2 individuals interested. I will be interviewing one of them, but I would not object to other applications, nothing against those 2 individuals, but I'd like to have a wider group of people to select from.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Hanlon, do you have anything for us?
2 small items. One follow-up from what Recreation Supervisor Lauren Masson said. We wanted to keep I asked if she would canvass her employees, see if we could keep the pool open on weekends after August 20th, just for 2 weekends. We do not have enough employees to man the pool, so if the question comes up, can we keep it open for another week or 2? We don't have the staff to do that. And second, we had the GAA games, the championship games over at the soccer complex last Saturday, Sunday that just passed. It was a great event. Pittsburgh was here, Cincinnati, mixed team from Buffalo. Nothing but praise for our buildings and grounds and our highway department. They, every person I talked to had high praise for the condition of the parks that West Seneca has. So.
These were the adult games, correct?
These are the adults, and the definition of adults in GAA is above 18. So you could be 70 years old and playing with 18. Correct.
Did they invite you to play?
No, they didn't.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Councilman. And I would just like to bid everyone a great evening, and for all those men and women who have served this great country and continue to serve, we thank you. Have yourself a great night. God bless, and see you in a couple weeks.